Sunday school words. We are quick to curse someone. We are quick to lash back at someone who has done something wrong to us. We are quick to condemn those that have done wrong to us without giving it a second thought. We condemn them without thinking about our own misgivings. We condemn them without thinking about our own personal shortcomings. We condemn them without thinking about all the lies that we told ourselves. We condemn them without considering how many times we've slept with somebody else's man. Or we condemn them without considering how many times we've slept with somebody else's wife. We condemn them without taking into account all the skeletons that we've swept in our own personal vault, hidden from the world's personal view. All I'm really trying to say, beloved friends of mine, is that we are quick to judge, but we are slow to forgive. So on today, my brothers and my sisters, I propose the question to you. What if God were one of us? What if he really, as the songwriter said, was just a slave just like us? This thought to me is frightening, to think of God in terms of just being one of the boys, or just thinking of God as just being one of the guys. First of all, I learned that people are very vindictive. If you do something to most people, they generally want revenge. And as the old saying goes, revenge is best when it's served cold. This means that most people will wait long after the hot temperness has faded away before they will even strike. They won't respond in the heat of the moment, but when the situation is no longer on the hot seat or has become cold in most minds, that is when they usually attack and calculate their revenge on their victim. Can you imagine if God was vindictive like us? If he was just like one of us, every time you did something that he didn't approve of, he would execute his wrath and revenge upon you. Many of us would no longer be alive, and we've already be burning in hell's fire. But thank God that he's not like one of us. Can you imagine what the world would be like if God had abandoned Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? What reason will we have in faith and trust in God? What if Moses and the children of Israel were left out on their own when the Egyptian army was bearing down on the Red Sea? What if David had failed against the giant Goliath? Or what if Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had burned up in the fiery furnace? What if David had been eaten alive by the lion? What if the woman who had the issue of blood had gone to Jesus and still bled to death? What if Jonah had been eaten by the sharks when he was thrown overboard? What if Paul had died when he was bitten by the poisonous snake? What if Job had cursed God and died? My brothers and my sisters, if all of these things had happened, we would have nothing to boast our faith in on God. We would have no reason to trust God. We would have no reason to believe God. And sad to say, but if God were one of us, could we really trust him? God were really one of us, could we really trust him? Again, I think that God is not one of us. Can you imagine if God were a liar? If all of the promises in the Bible were not true? Can you imagine if there was no mansion waiting on us in heaven? Better yet, can you imagine if there was no heaven at all? Can you imagine if there was no forgiveness and death is just the end of it all? Can you imagine if there was no uncovered tomb in the middle of the east when the body of someone called Jesus the Christ, the King of the Jews, is still buried? This will make God a liar just like one of us. This will make God a slave to sin just like one of us. But most people think that they can just lie, and get away with it. But I heard an American physician, Austin O'Malley, wrote some valid points about lying. He said, first of all, a lie has no legs. It requires other lies to support it. And then he goes on and says, he said, if you tell one lie, then you are forced to tell other lies to back it up. And secondly, he says, stretching the truth won't make it last any longer. Y'all get that when you get home. Thirdly, he says, those that think it's permissible to tell white lies will soon grow colorblind. But I thank God today that he's not like one of us. The Bible clearly states in our text that God is not like man. He is not flesh and he is not blood. He was not created out of the dirt and clay. But before the world was created, God already existed. John 4:24 clearly states that God is a spirit. That means he cannot be subject to worldly things. He cannot be convinced to do things that are not holy. He is not a liar, nor can he be misdirected by lies, because he already knows the truth, because he is the truth. He is not like man. He's not a liar, nor is he a cheater. He is not vengeable or filled with hate. He is not sinful by nature, because his nature is spiritual and full of holiness. Because of who he is, God does not have to repent. He does not have to turn from evil simply because he is not evil. Even when God appeared on earth as Jesus the Christ, he still refused to do evil, making him the only perfect man that ever lived and that would ever be to live. He is not the son of man, meaning he was not born of the seed of a man, but the seed that impregnated Mary was a seed provided by the Holy Ghost. Therefore, since Jesus was not the son of man, he was not born into sin like you and I. Our text further states that everything that God has said, he has made good. If he says it, you can count on it. If he says you're going to be healed, you can take it to the bank that you're going to be healed. If he says that I'm going to make a way out of no way, you can take it to the bank that he's going to make a way out of no way. If you find it written in the word of God, then you better believe that he is faithful, he is trustworthy, he is accountable for, because simply he is God. Somebody shout, he is God. Yeah. If God were one of us, but I'm so glad that God is not one of us. And in the word of God, there are 7 specific promises that God tells us that are important for us to understand. Beloved friends of mine, I don't care who it is that is involved in your life. There comes a time when people make promises that they know they can't keep. There comes a time in life where people make promises that due to life and due to situations